and welcome to the second season of the AUA Focus Series, a podcast channel hosted by the AUA Media Lab. My name is Aram Hajian. I'm the CIS, the Computer and Information Science Master's Program Chair, and Industry Liaison of the Akyán College of Science and Engineering. And my guest today is Areg Karapetyan, a two-time alum of our college. First, he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering Sciences, and after that, a Master of Engineering in Industrial Engineering and Systems Management. Areg is currently a member of our adjunct faculty, and he works in industry, leveraging his quite extensive knowledge and skill set in the burgeoning Armenian engineering ecosystem. So welcome, Areg, and thank you.
Thanks for having me. Hello.
Great. So Areg, tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe, I guess, starting pre-AUA, what got you into engineering? What inspired you? Maybe people or knowledge or something inside that led you down the beginning of this journey?
So back in middle school, I actually thought that I wanted to become a programmer, like a software engineer. And when I got into high school, we had this robotics laboratory where we had the CNC machines, laser cutters, 3D printers. So I tried manufacture different parts, and I realized that running from one machine to another suits better for me than writing code all day. And I realized that engineering is the path I want to choose. Then I had some experience with PCB design, some circuit boards, and I realized that's the best thing for me. That's why electrical engineering is the most favorite part for me.
That's great. Areg, you're so in deep in this field that you rattle off these names like CNC machine and PCB design. Yeah. Can you explain a couple of, what do these terms mean? Like, what is a CNC machine? What's PCB design? What's a laser cutter?
So CNC machine, it's a big machine that has these drills which can move in different axes, and it can cut different parts of wood, of metals, even from stones, depending on the machine. And you can create these beautiful 3D parts from computer simulation, from computer design to real life product. So that's what you use mostly when you use, if it's 3D axis, for example, you do like this 2D metals, and then you carve the depth in it, and you have this beautiful shape. Laser cutter is mostly for 2D designs, to cut something of some thin materials like metals or again wood, plywood. 3D printers, I think they're pretty self-explanatory. They print in 3D and they're very popular now. PCBs, these are these electrical boards that you can see in every device that runs the logic of it, that does the whole job of working, let's say.
Right. So fascinating. And you mentioned electrical engineering as a passion of yours, but a lot of what you described right now seems to be more mechanical in nature. Some of the drilling, the milling, the creating these 3D objects, tools maybe for parts, for any mechanical assembly or some parts for a complex product. Is that right? Is that so? There's different aspects of engineering, almost one might say interdisciplinary kind of aspects of your own educational, let's say, background and interest?
Yes, definitely. So you need to have general understanding how things work to be able to create a product. Yes, my favorite part is electrical engineering, but if you want to make a ready product, you need to have the understanding how the mechanical engineering works to make it a beautiful, presentable product. Mm-hmm. And CNC, I said it can be used to cut metals, but you can also make a PCB using CNC by carving into the copper. You take this ready-made copper and insulator layers, you cut the copper and you get these traces of the PCB. That's a very simple way how we can make it.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so this was a motivation. You entered, I think, AUA in the first engineering sciences cohort. Am I remembering correctly? Yes. Yeah. So I think until then in our college, we only had an undergraduate program in computer science, and the next bachelor's program that we opened, since then two more we now have 4 programs, but the one we opened after the computer science program was indeed the engineering sciences program, this almost fusion between mechanical and electrical engineering. You studied for some time, and then you took a pause in your studies for your Army service. Tell me a little bit about, before we get to the Army service, what you had some instructors maybe at AUA, maybe before. In general, I'm curious who's been your role model academically, or role models, or people who have inspired you in one way or another.
So the first person I think of is my robotics high school teacher. So he instructed me how to use those machines, how to get into this engineering part, how to create some real life product from designs. So that was my introduction, and that's why I loved engineering. Second person who I think is one of the instructors from AUA, Mihran Gurunyan. He was teaching a few courses, and he also was my capstone supervisor, and he taught me a lot. And the way he teaches, I really enjoy his teaching style, and his I think skill set and his mindset, it inspires other people to go deeper into engineering and learn more, and go outside of the class to learn something and do more stuff with engineering.
Yeah, I think in this day and age of, first the internet and now AI, we have almost infinite knowledge and information available to us, but maybe nothing yet replaces a truly inspirational teacher.
Definitely.
Another person who can motivate, open our minds and our spark a motivation within students. And so it's great to hear that you've had several such people, and naming a couple of them, that's great. Wonderful. You mentioned capstone, and capstones is sort of our culminating project or experience at the end of our studies. Tell us a little bit about your capstone. And I'm curious, is it something also somehow interdisciplinary? Does it have any relevance? And you did your capstone even at the undergraduate level after your Army service. I'm curious if anything you ended up choosing in terms of your capstone topic and project, supervisor, application, was that inspired at all by your service itself, or was it was just an academic exercise that had no practical applicability? I'm sort of curious if you can talk a little bit about the capstone experience.
So my capstone was a robotic vehicle with an arm on it. It was a proof of concept. It's not something that can be used in everyday life. But in theory, if we take that concept of robotic vehicle with a robotic arm, it can be used in many disciplines. One can be army. So if you have some stuff that you need to transfer from one place to another, like medicine or food, and you don't want to risk soldiers' life by running through the battlefield, you can definitely use some kind of robotic vehicle that will carry those stuff. So that was one idea that I was thinking when making the project. It was actually, I didn't do it alone. I did with one of my group mates. And it was one of the applications that we thought of.
Yeah, great. I think that's great. I can see that we, as leadership in the Akyaan College of Science and Engineering, we talk about this at times. We view education, I think, much more broadly than teaching fundamental mathematics, science, engineering courses. I think there's a healthy dose of values. Human values that we that flavor the experience, the teaching experience, the curricular development. What kind of students are we trying to help prepare for the future? And I think an important part of that is seeing that here we are, we live in Armenia. The mission of the university is about strengthening Armenia, the region, the world, and part of that, from an engineering standpoint, involves national security. And I think that, valuing patriotic mindset and values such as Army service, is something that we've always held in high esteem. I think that it's safe to say, Areg, you're a role model yourself for lots of other students. It's I'm sure the alumni, when you talked about your high school, the high school teachers to their next generation students, talk about success stories like you. I think it's the same already in our college. It's no surprise that after your 6 years of studies with us, that you're now leading several engineering laboratory courses, practical courses where you can apply what you've learned into the classroom itself, and be part of the faculty as an adjunct member, juggling your full-time job outside of AUA with your laboratory sessions that you teach, and continue to inspire. I'm just going to read. It's a long list. To whatever extent my memory is good, I don't think I could remember this. Areg, you've received in academic year 2017, 2018, the Hajian Scholarship, and then 3 subsequent years in 2021, 22, and 22-23, the Armen der Grechian Scholarship. After that, the AUA full academic scholarship jointly funded by AUA and the Ministry of Education. Then the Paul and Primrose Demirjan Scholarship, and then once again the Ministry Scholarship. So this is, just year on year continued excellence in the classroom, continued excellence, in terms of character and integrity. I just want to say, congratulations on all those achievements.
Thank you.
What has been sort of like, maybe you can now flip it around if I talk about your career, which is, you're young, you're still embarking on and charting your own course. What career advice do you have? I mean, we hear a lot about the IT sector, yet your own career so far has been very much centered around engineering and these sort of interdisciplinary, the crossroads of electrical and mechanical and various theory courses you've passed, but also applications in the practical, applied world. What kind of advice might you have for young men and women, or even school children who are thinking about a career somehow in the sciences or engineering and broadly? What advice might you have?
Well, if they have the interest in engineering, in doing applied things, doing something with their hands, then they should definitely apply to engineering. They should try their intellectual abilities in that field. I'm sure they will succeed. And one thing that I might find a bit different for different universities, some universities give very theoretical knowledge. And in my classes, especially as I teach lab courses, I try to give very practical knowledge which students will be able to use in their life. And for people who want to just start their journey in engineering, I would suggest them doing everything practical. So theory is good. You need to know the theory. You need to have the general understanding, but practice what makes it perfect. And you need to have very good experience in the field that you're working in.
That's great advice. We often hear that a career in IT, in software development, maybe in AI, is easier in a sense that there is no big infrastructural need, equipment, infrastructure, laboratories, etc. All you need is a computer. But you've shown that there are affordances, opportunities in laboratory environments that have allowed you, as you said, to kind of like roll up your sleeves and jump in and actually build things, test things, prototype your ideas in sort of real life implementation. Is that true? Have you felt like that there have been laboratory environments that you've worked in, and would that be part of your advice to students that, okay, while we may not have the largest or most well-stocked laboratories, I'm curious what your experiences have been so far in your academic career in terms of, what opportunities are there in terms of that hardware or laboratory environment?
Well, I think there are many laboratories in Armenia currently, especially with, for example, Armat is growing. There are different places where people create the small laboratories where even kids from middle school can go and start learning. I think that's a good way of developing engineering in Armenia. And for universities, I think every university that has this engineering degree should have some sort of lab, both electrical and mechanical, where they will have the equipment that can come. They would ask some supervisors or instructors if they want to make a project, and they would receive the help in that project. So that's the environment that is needed for a proper learning experience.
Yeah, you've mentioned some of the faculty members who inspired you, teachers, professors. But you also mentioned that a lot of the projects are team projects, right? So you work with other students, and I think the nature of the work is that these projects are in the real world, in life. We don't often just sit alone in a room with the doors closed and just sort of create something purely on our own. These are often sitting together, or even non-co-located people working together on various projects. Also, of course, from your Army service, people don't serve in isolation either. Can you talk a little bit about how you might have changed during those years in service? In other words, you, in the middle of your bachelor's studies, you paused, went to serve, returned, and continued. And in retrospect, I'm curious, when you look back, how might you have changed?
Well, I think my opinion about education changed a bit because I was studying from when I was a kid. So I was 18, I finished my freshman year at AUA, then I got into Army, so 2 years of no learning, no like this educational environment. And when I came back, I realized that I missed it, and it gave me more motivation to study harder. And especially when I came back, it was this COVID season, it was online courses, so it was a bit of a challenge. But it was still important for me to give that good beginning after the Army to continue better until the end of my master's degree.
Yeah, that's great. And you did mention that we talked earlier that yes, you studied engineering. You talked about your capstone as an undergraduate. Then you studied industrial engineering and systems management as in your master's program. So currently, AUA does not have a master's degree in, let's say, mechanical or electrical or some natural continuation or vertical, one might say, to build on your undergraduate studies. Yet I'm curious, what value do you see in retrospect having shifted a bit in your master's degree into at least by name, a different field? And is that augmentation in your own, let's say, academic path or portfolio? I'm curious from your standpoint, is that an advantage? Would you have done it differently if you turn back the clock? I'm curious how you assess your sort of academic path in that sense.
So you're right, it's a bit different from what I studied in bachelor's and in master's, but it's a bit, in a sense, it's natural continuation, because in bachelor's I studied how to make this hardware engineering, mechanical, electrical, how to make a product. And then in master's I studied more how to improve everything, how to optimize stuff in this industrial engineering part. So like operations management, and that's a bit of the higher level. So you have engineers who are working, then you have higher level to manage the engineers. So I have the knowledge what the engineering is, so how much time it will take to complete a task, for example, to design a PCB board, and then I can manage the people who are designing it. So it will put me in a higher level in this structure of a company that will give me better career options in the future. So it might have been different subjects. It was more related to data analytics probably than to engineering, but I don't regret doing it. And maybe one day I would consider doing another master's specifically in electrical engineering to just improve my knowledge in that field. But for now, I'm happy that I did it in industrial engineering, and it has given me some knowledge that I wouldn't have gotten anyway in any other way.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. In fact, I think your employability, the value you add to an institution, to a company, to a startup, to an organization is very high, right? Having that, as you call it, the low level, high level is or sometimes words we use, the sort of technical skill set, and then the broader organizational or managerial or optimizing kind of value understanding, I think is a unbeatable combination. Something that's very highly desired, I think, both in the private sector as well as here in academia as part of our faculty as well, and who knows what may come in the future. So that's great. Great. What about specific advice to? We have students now, as you said, as you did yourself. They pause, they go to their service, they come back. Any advice for returning servicemen back into their studies, or career advice on how best to leverage knowledge that they've learned in either of those environments for their own future. Do you have any thoughts about that, having gone through that path yourself?
Well, I think some students, when they come back, they think that they have fallen behind. They sometimes may not ask a lot of questions because they feel that they would hold the whole class back because they forgot some stuff. But I can say that all of the instructors that I had, they were very supportive. Even instructors that were not teaching me some courses, they emailed me, said, if you have any questions, you can email me anytime, because I know that there will be 2 years, you had a long gap in your educational path. So you can email me, ask questions. So that's the community that we have at AUA, and that's the support that they can get from any instructor. So they should not hesitate to contact anyone if they have any questions, if they need some kind of assistance, starting from the faculty, ending with the administration at AUA. Everyone is supportive, and I remember that it was a very smooth transition from Army to back into classes.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I guess this is one of the advantages. These are, we have some larger programs in the college and some smaller programs in terms of student number. And so in some of these smaller programs, maybe more personal attention, maybe more interaction directly with faculty, as you say, with different, it could be advisors, it could be faculty teaching you in a course or working with you on your capstone. And I think those are all big advantages. In fact, I think a lot of the courses we have are very, as we mentioned earlier, team projects, project-based learning, experiential learning. These are some of the, let's say, descriptive words or categories of courses which encourage this sort of communication. Could be horizontally among students. It could be vertically with advisor or faculty member and students, and often with industry partners. And I think that all of that adds a big value to the educational experience. Maybe something that has lasted. Any sort of specific projects that you are part of as a student that really stand out as something like, wow, you really learned something through that experience, or gave you, motivated you or inspired you in one way or another?
Well, one project that I remember was actually my freshman year. It was during our programming course. So we had the choice to do any project that we want. And at the time, me and my friend, we wanted to make an app that would help people to understand which transport will go from one place to another. So it's not related to engineering, but it was our programming course, so that's why we did it. And then a few years later, we have currently that in Armenia, that we have the app where you can look which transport is currently where and how you go from one place to another.
Which I missed a word. Which transfer?
For transport to see.
Transport.
Our Yerevan's transport system.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that we had that idea like in 2018, and then some years later, people actually made that app. So it means that we had a good idea, but we didn't have enough knowledge to implement it first.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, it's good to be creative, come up with ideas, and some of the ideas you've come up with, you've implemented, and some ideas other people do. So nothing wrong with that. And yeah, great. So I think that these are, very, even from the beginning then, very real life examples, something applicable, something needed in our Armenian society. I think we still struggle with all kinds of transportation challenges.
Definitely.
Here in the middle of winter with icy roads, it's only worse. So I think very, very much, actual real life challenges that are limitless. So we need more and more engineers to solve them. Is what I'm thinking. Okay, very good. So Areg, as we've mentioned, you're still early in your career, yet you're already working, and you're already working in I think important applied field. Can you tell us something about what you do and kind of this career path, which often is very nonlinear and goes in unexpected directions at times? What are you working on now? What realm are you in? Maybe what do you see yourself doing in the future? And even other classmates of yours with whom you studied, if you can talk a couple of different examples of, so people can picture what kind of career awaits me in the engineering world in Armenia.
So when I graduated from my high school and I got into AUA, I then started working in our laboratory in our high school. So I was laboratory assistant. for the 1 year that I was before the army during my freshman year at AUA. Then when I came back, I started working in one of the local companies. I was mostly concentrated in electrical engineering. Then as my studies got more, I learned more, knowledge got better. I got into more the system engineering, so to design the whole system, to assign who will manufacture what, to just general planning of the project, and also doing the electrical engineering in it, which is highly related to what I teach here in the lab courses. So I try to connect what I see in the industry, what students may need in their future, to the labs that we're doing in the class. And from my peers, there are a few people that they are continuing pursuing their master's somewhere abroad, and they are planning to return to develop the engineering field here. So one of my friends is in Germany, in Technical University of Munich. There are a few people I know that one is in MIT. I know some people are in California. So they are doing their masters. They are trying to develop their knowledge based on the engineering, this background they got at AUA in bachelor's, and then to come back here to develop the engineering field here, to have more people. Maybe they would also like to teach and share their experience from their abroad universities, which would give us better background for the people who are graduating from AUA.
That's great. Yeah, I think, when I look back to almost, maybe not quite, but about 10 years ago when we opened the Bachelor's in Engineering Sciences, we've been on a pretty steady growth trajectory since then, and we're continuing. We're hiring more and more full-time faculty. We're looking to expand our academic offerings in engineering at all levels, bachelor's, master's, hopefully PhD soon. Discussions and plans are underway. I'm curious of all that you've studied here at AUA, if you could add one course, or if you could magic wand, kind of change one academic program, or add something new that you think strategically is needed for Armenia, strategically correct for AUA, what might that be? What might be that addition or change?
Well, currently the engineering degree we have in bachelor's, it have this all components of electrical, mechanical, even some chemical. So we have different aspects of it. And I think differentiating between different major engineering directions would be beneficial for the students, like have separate electrical engineering, separate mechanical engineering. Definitely there are courses that would be mutual for both degrees, but specifics in each degree would create better individuals and better professionals for Armenia. For example, we don't have this much deep knowledge into PCB design in AUA, so that's something I learned from my workplace. But if we have a separate degree, then we can have more courses in circuits and electrical engineering to enforce students to learn that. Same with mechanical, with this fluid mechanics, for example, we have as an elective course. Some students may take it, some students may not. And if it's a core course in the mechanical engineering, every student will learn it and will ensure that those students have that knowledge going into their workplace.
Yeah, that's great, Areg. I mean, just so you know, and I'm sure you know because you've been part of those discussions, I think that opinion or that idea you just expressed very much harmonious with the in-progress implementation within the college of the proliferation of degree programs, bifurcation of the more general engineering sciences degree, which was purposefully introduced as this more general degree a decade ago, into these more specific branches, if you will, or specific fields. This bifurcation into standalone degrees in, let's say, something electrical or mechanical, aerospace. These are different fields that were gaining more and more traction. And so I'm excited that you're with us as a faculty member. I'm excited that we can all work together to roll up our sleeves and start to implement these additional degrees. These are indeed, we need experts in all of these fields and more. And I think the growth of AUA as a research institution, having these in-house projects, just having a bigger footprint in terms of our publications and innovations is only going to make the AUA of tomorrow that much more resilient and that much more able to address Armenia's national security needs and engineering cadres, experts, graduates to deal better with the challenges of tomorrow. So yeah, thank you very much, and it was great
Thank you.
hearing from you as we honor our veterans, our Army, and work toward a more resilient and stronger Armenia tomorrow than today.
Thank you.